Today on the Diz List, we talk to Nick about his recent trip to Walt Disney World.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that lists everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and welcome to episode 109, where we talk to Nick about his recent trip to Walt Disney World. This episode's focus is going to be on resort and restaurants.
Before we start doing that, I did want to take a moment to thank all the people who listen each and every week. You know who you are, we know who you are too, and we really appreciate it. I have a lot of stuff because this was a lot of new things. I've never stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge. We did some stuff with... not new to me, but it was a different experience this time than it was last time, the dessert party. So I've got that to talk about. Ate at a new restaurant in Animal Kingdom, not Animal Kingdom Lodge, but in Animal Kingdom, Yak and Yeti. That was, got a lot to talk about there.
I feel like I've heard about that one quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a good restaurant, actually. So, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about in the second half of the show. The first half, though, the rollout has started of Lightning Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Lightning Lane Multipass.
I am very excited about using that next week.
Yeah, I mean, you're going. You're like literally days away from heading out.
Pretty much all I'm thinking about.
I don't blame you.
Now that I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, this is not like now my focus. Because I was very excited about seeing that.
Yeah.
We can talk about that another time, but it was an awesome movie.
Yeah.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that one. So we are doing a Patreon this week about your kind of a pre-cap instead of a recap. I'll call it a pre-cap of your trip.
We talk about what we're going to do, where we're going to go. Nothing crazy.
Right, but how about just a quick one for the regular listeners?
Sure.
What your plans are.
So our plans are we're going to do, we actually bought a special ticket that I don't know if I've talked about on the show yet or not. We bought a special ticket that was, we got a good deal on it, and it was one park per day for 4 days.
Yep.
So we couldn't go to Magic Kingdom twice if we wanted to. So we got a really good deal on that. We bought that. We used Undercover Tourist, which is a site that you've recommended to me. Which
not an ad, but...
Right.
Yep.
So we used that. I got a great deal on it. So we're going to do one park per day. This particular trip, people who listen regularly know that I have family in Orlando. So we are going to do kind of a hybrid trip like we do usually. We're going to be staying at the Wyndham Garden Resort, and it's kind of adjacent to Disney Springs. I've seen it on the map, and it looks walkable. Okay. It looks like that entrance right before you get to the parking garages to the right, and that entrance, it's almost like a loop, and I think it might be like employee parking or something in that area. It's the entrance closest to World of Disney, if you know where I mean.
Yeah, I do.
So the hotel is right next to that. So we can walk right over and go there. So we're staying there. We're going to do 4 days at the parks, 1 day off. We're going to try to do some things that we haven't done before. Hopefully meet up with some friends, some people that are listening right now. And we want to try to do, if possible, on that day off, things we haven't done. My wife is a big flea market fan. My wife is a working artist, and she goes to the flea market. She's actually there right now. She goes to the flea market and takes photos and draws. So she's thinking maybe, we'll see if this happens, go to the flea market and see if she can take some pictures and do some Disney drawings.
That's cool.
Maybe go to the outlet, the Vineland outlet, to the Disney outlet. Yeah. This is big picture. Let's see if we can do it type stuff.
Gotcha.
And then we'll do all 4 parks. And then the second half of the trip, we're going to visit family. But last but not least, I'm very, very excited to try out. It's not Genie Plus anymore. It's Lightning Lane Multipass.
Yeah.
Very excited about that.
I mean, it's live. It's running. So we'll see how that goes. I've heard complaints. I've heard good things. I think that people who are complaining that the Lightning Lanes are going away faster, it's because you hold 3 of them.
3 in your pocket. Yeah.
You're guaranteed to have 3. Oh, I can't get this, I can't get that. That's because you had 3 to start with.
Yeah, it's pluses and minuses.
It's going to go 3 times as fast, but you know what? It's new. You got to get used to a new system, and it's not really new. It's almost like we got to remember how we used to do Fast Pass back
Right.
in the day. I think it's going to work out very well personally, and I honestly think that if Disney potentially is taking away some availability for Lightning Lane, that could be a good thing, because part of what slows down the standby lines
Yeah.
is the amount of Lightning Lane use. I don't think that Disney's doing that, but I would love for them to maybe say, hey, this is how many Lightning Lanes per hour we're going to have. If we have a capacity of 1,000, our Lightning Lane capacity for that hour is 250.
And I think they're leaving some too, because according to a few of the videos I watched, you can still get some stuff same day, even if you don't go ahead 3 days.
Correct. Yeah.
So-
yeah, I've heard that as well.
For example, here's what I mean for the listeners. If you are booking 3 days or 7 days in advance for this new system, and Tiana's Bayou Adventure sold out, the day of, if you purchase it, there is some still availability at the beginning of the day.
And from what I've heard too, is dependent upon how well the ride is acting and behaving that day, they will allow more into the system.
Great.
So if there's a lot of shutdowns, they don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. And so what they will do is a lot of shutdowns, we're just not going to add anything. Oh, it's not shutting down at all today. Here we go. So, we'll see. Time will tell whether or not that's the right switch. I do think that they needed to do something, and at least here, there actually is a tangible advantage to staying on property.
Mhm.
It's only 4 days, but it's still an advantage. And also, even if you're not on property, you're still getting a 3-day head start.
Yeah.
They are trying, from what I understand, they're still trying to iron out the kinks of the foreign visitors. Visitors from abroad are not allowed to actually book these experiences until they are in the United States.
Now, there was some legal reason behind that.
Yeah, and I think they're just trying to iron that out. And once that, it's not the intention of Disney, from what I understand.
They're not being exclusionary. If there's just
Correct.
legal.
There's legal,
Yeah.
you can get mad at Disney if you want, but this has to do with legalities of the purchase of the item. So I think once they get that ironed out, everything will be good to go.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So I'll end with this.
Yeah.
We're going to, if this works out, we're going to get it for all 4 days, for all 4 parks,
Okay.
just to try it. I know you might think, come on, you're wasting your money, Rob.
No,
Maybe-
I don't think so.
I just want to do it. I want to see what it's like for all 4 parks. And
I think
Yeah.
I think that it's useful in your situation, especially
because we have 1 day.
you have 1 day.
Yeah.
There's only one park where really I would almost say you're better off buying the Lightning Lane single pass.
We discussed it. Animal Kingdom.
Yes.
We had this discussion as a family at dinner, and I said, okay, guys, I'm buying one of these things. Do you want to, you'll like how this one ends. It's interesting. I didn't think it was going to go this way. I said, okay, guys, here's our 2 choices. I can get the multi-pass, and we can skip all the lines for, all your basic attractions all day, or we skip the line for Flight of Passage. So my son and my daughter looked to me and they thought for a minute, and then they both agreed. They said they want to do the multi-pass for all the other rides. I said, why? And my daughter looks at me and goes, because the queue for Flight of Passage is so cool, Dad. And I go, oh, I guess you're right. I go, that's a long wait. She goes, it's okay. We'll play games and we'll talk. And I was like, good attitude.
Yeah.
Right?
Easy to say.
I
now.
know. I
Wait,
know.
Let's hope it's not a 150-minute wait on that
Yeah.
day.
Well, I mean, part of it is hot when you're, depending on where the line is. If you're waiting kind of in that area that I don't know what I call it, the boardwalk that goes back.
I don't.
That's
you know what? I
tough.
don't disagree
Yeah.
with your kids on that decision. As far as it's not an unbearable wait in that queue.
They like it.
And it is a good queue, and the Lightning Lane does miss a lot of the fun stuff in that queue. But you could also, if you go early enough, if you rope drop that day,
Yeah.
that might be a day where you rope drop and you're done. And
We talked about that
See you
too.
later.
So I said to the kids, I said, look, our flight's getting in really late the night before.
oh, you're going the first day.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
So
never mind.
that's our first day. So my plan was to get up and get some snacks at Publix and just kind of, walk around and while the kids kind of snooze a little bit. They like to sleep in.
Yeah.
So I mentioned that to them. They're like, no, it's fine. It's fine, Dad. We'll go late and we'll just get what we can get. I said, okay.
All right.
Yeah, and that's part of it too. And listeners, I'm sure that this is part of what you do, and I know that's part of what Nick does. Is you have that discussion. I'm not the dictator of the Disney trip.
No.
I know you're the same way.
It's not the way that I like. For me, I'm willing to wait in the other lines because the other lines tend to be short.
Mhm.
But on the off chance that they're not short, you probably made the right decision.
And you know what? It's not a huge amount of money. I can't remember 116, 117,
Yeah.
and I know the prices fluctuate, but
It's right
Whatever.
around there. Yeah, it's right around. I think I paid 16 for, or no, I paid 14 for Flight of Passage. I want to say it was not a lot. So yeah, I completely understand that decision, and I will support it.
we'll see.
I'm
if
really
we're wrong, then we're wrong.
Right. I'm
Then,
really
yeah.
excited for when you get back to tell me all the ins and outs, because I have a feeling that this is, there's going to be a steep learning curve. I'm sure that there's going to be frustrations with it, but I also think that you're somebody who, because you'll do the deep dive, like you're going to go into it as educated as you can possibly be.
Yeah.
This early in the game, right? Because you are like me and will sit there and watch and binge YouTube. Like, I'm not even going, and I watched already 3 videos on Lightning Lane Multipass.
Yes.
Now, some of it was because I'm on a Disney podcast and I wanted to be able to talk
Yeah, true.
somewhat intelligently, but like I also was like, hey, let's watch what Rob and Eric did.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, and I watched a couple other ones and read up on some other things. So
Yeah.
but I'm excited to hear about your trip. I'm excited to record the Patreon where we're going to talk about a little bit more in detail about that.
Yep.
Speaking of Patreon, you can support us by going to www.patreon.com/DizlessPod. There you can get early access to new episodes. You can get bonus content. We do at the Jungle Skipper level, we do a new episode every week. So a whole bonus episode every week. It's short, but it's still another episode. So a lot of fun stuff there that you can do. Sign up for free even and just get updates and follow along. And because Rob's going on his trip soon, if you sign up and you pass along your IG handle, your Instagram handle, I will add you to the close friends group. And then anytime he goes live, he can choose to go live with everybody or live with close friends. And so you get some actual exclusive content, even for free, through the Patreon. So we want to thank all of our patrons over at patreon.com. But we'll talk to you right after the halftime. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about my recent trip to Walt Disney World, and this is the second of 2 recap episodes. In the first recap episode, if you didn't listen, in episode 108, I talked about the parks experiences that we had, and today I want to talk about some dining and resort experiences. Some of the dining experiences I'm going to talk about happened in the parks, but they're not. To me, that's not part of the park experience. You know what I mean? It is, but it isn't, and it fits better in this episode. So I do want to start with Yak and Yeti because it was our first thing we did.
Let me start by saying Yak and Yeti. Well, I guess in general, the restaurants in Animal Kingdom are so hard to find over in that area. Don't you agree? Like it's not obvious other than the Dawa bar. Like
I'm going to be honest.
Sure.
I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
I did not know that's where Yak and Yeti was.
Right.
I had no clue. I had walked by it a ton of times and didn't realize that was a sit-down restaurant.
Yeah, that area of Africa and Asia, like it's very difficult for me to find unless it's very, very clearly
I
marked.
think Animal Kingdom's the one park where when I'm walking around, sometimes I'm still like, where exactly do I need to go? Like, it's just that one park that I don't know if it's the foliage and the lack of a clearly defined sightline to, like, if you're over by Everest, okay, you know where you are. If you're over by the Tree of Life, yeah, you know where you are.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you're walking between lands, there's times when it's just foliage.
Yeah, which is good and bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Yak and Yeti, I have eaten at the Yak and Yeti Market, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Not the sit down. I had done that before.
Is that the corn cart? I know that's a weird term to use.
No. It's it's like a walk-up window.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you would have at it's very similar to in Mexico, where you go to the cantina
okay.
or not the is it the cantina? Whatever, the quick service.
Right. The outdoor one that's across from the
actual
from
restaurant.
pavilion.
Yeah. So at Yak and Yeti, we go in, and this was our first meal at Disney World, and we had just come into the parks. You know, it was 1:30, 2 o'clock, something like that on our first day. And we are greeted greeted right away and brought to our table relatively quickly. This was the day where we had checked in. We had a reservation. We had checked in. We're sitting there waiting for our table. It took them we were early, so it took them probably 10 minutes to get our table ready, which is fine. But while we're sitting there, multiple people come up asking, do you have any availability? And I know how this goes. I know what's about to happen. And people were like told, you have an hour, 2 hours, whatever. And most people were like, oh, okay, I understand. But there was at least one family who was like, what do you mean? How long ago should I have gotten this reservation? And I'm like, tell me you didn't do any research. Like, remember how we talked about, I was worried that my mom was going to have family members who went on the whim because they thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
That's legit. Like, I think I saw them because what do you mean I can't come in right now into a sit-down restaurant at 2 p.m? It's 2 p.m. Why would I? I'm sorry. It's going to be a 2-hour wait.
What do you think the percentage of people that react that way are at any given Disney restaurant where you need a reservation?
I think 10%.
Okay.
10%, I think, have no clue. I will tell you, this is a complete aside. I will tell you that we had a situation where we were in line behind somebody waiting to get onto a ride, waiting to get onto an attraction. And this individual they were waiting to get on and said, like, they were scanning their bands, like, I don't understand. I bought Genie Plus. And the lady's like, well, do you have a reservation? She's like, I bought Genie Plus. This is that Jungle Cruise.
Oh, okay.
Did you make a reservation? Or did you reserve a lightning lane? I bought Genie Plus, like as if she was talking to somebody who didn't understand it.
Right. Like,
and I'm like,
button and you magically.
And I was like,
this isn't universal.
No. I'm like, oh no, wait, this is not going to end well. So finally the woman goes, I'm going to scan their bands, which I'm glad because I didn't want to be there for the meltdown because there was like 6 of them and there were some young kids and I was like, uh-oh, this is not going to end well. So anyway, I think that the people who just don't know also don't know that you have to get a reservation for these restaurants. Sure. So back to Yak and Yeti as far as the ambiance. It's a massive restaurant. Didn't realize it was massive. They have a whole upstairs, like a massive upstairs area. We sit upstairs. There's 6 of us. And we have a very good waiter. Comes over, explains what's what, tells us where he's from. He I believe was from Casablanca.
Wow.
The actual place. So he's from Morocco, and he's telling us about the food. He's explaining Yak and Yeti. He's explaining the story, explains the menu, goes through the whole thing. Now I might be confusing him now that I think about it. He may have been, the Casablanca guy might have been at Boma, but that's besides the point. Super nice waiter. What would you like to drink? We get our drink order. Do you want any appetizers? So I already knew that we wanted the ahi nachos. They're wonton nachos. They're actually gluten-free, I believe, because they're wontons. I think wontons are gluten-free, right? Fried wontons?
Know. I'm not sure.
Maybe not. I could be wrong. So don't quote me on that. But that's a great appetizer there, and it's always talked about. So I was like, I want to get these. And I like ahi tuna, and I like there's an ahi tuna nacho appetizer at a local restaurant that I always get. So order that. My brother orders calamari for the table as well. And the guy's like, sure, no problem. He's like, let me put that right in for you. Do you guys know what you want for your meals? And we had already known. While we were waiting, we looked at the menu. It's one of those things at Disney, all the menus are accessible. So we give them our order. The food was quick. So quick, in fact, that our entrees came
before the... Yeah, it's funny when that happens.
To which the guy comes out and sees them and goes, what is going on? And I go, this is what they served us. And I was kind of annoyed, but I was like, it's not his fault. And he's like, I'm going to go talk to my manager and we got to do something for you. Like that's not how I put this order in. Manager comes over and says, oh, I hear you got your appetizers after your entrees. And I said, yeah, like there's a lot, like it's hard to eat all this when it's rushed out to us. It's hard to eat all this food like at once, like we assumed. And she goes, well, sometimes it happens that way. That was the response.
Oh.
So that was not the response I really wanted to get. The guy had told us that, okay, well, I'll try to get take one or more of those appetizers off because, like, I totally get it. Like, he felt bad. Not only did they not comp one of them, which, whatever, right? We ordered the food. We were willing to pay for it. We get the bill. There's 6 of us, so they have to add the 18% gratuity. They add the 18% gratuity anyway, right? Automatically.
Right, and your server wasn't the problem. It seems
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
And he says, like, he comes out and says, by the way, the gratuity has already been added. I will say this. He was the only person on the entire trip
who was straight up about
who
it.
straight up and told us that the 18% was already added because there was 6 people. Now, normally I tip 20% or more. And I usually also, because I feel like they do a lot of work, I usually also tip the tax. I tip, I just look at the total bill and I tip with that. I get that that's not how technically you're supposed to do it, so it ends up being a little bit more than 20%, but like that's usually how I tip. This 18% was calculated already, including the tax, which annoyed me at that point. Now you're pissing me off. Sorry, but like I know we don't curse, and that's not really a curse, but like still, not that. Now I was like, dude, you are definitely not getting 20% now, because I was gonna add stuff on. Yeah, you're doing 18%, but Disney's charging me 18%, including the tax. Like, I'm a math teacher. I can do it real quick in my head. It was that. They gave me my DVC discount. Don't worry. They didn't include the tax on that one. They gave me 10% off, and they didn't even give me 10% off of all the food. Yeah, I can't figure it out. I went back. I looked at the receipt. I calculated it. What's 10% of $149? You can do that pretty quick in your head, right?
No.
Oh, okay. 10%. Sorry.
Listeners, just so you know,
10%.
We have a math teacher and an art teacher.
Move the decimal point
Okay.
one place.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay. Now I got it.
So the discount should have been like $15. It was like 11. And I was extremely annoyed at that point. And I'm like, if this wasn't 18% already added, I would take some off. And I'm not like that. I tip, and it's not that guy's fault. But at some point, it's got to come back to his manager.
Yeah.
And I was annoyed, super annoyed. His manager was very convenient about coming to the table, saying that, and leaving without mentioning her name, without introducing herself, other than that she was a manager. Because the opposite of cast compliment is probably what she would have gotten.
Wow.
So I was not happy about that. That was like, so be aware if you're there with 6 or more people and you're getting the automatic gratuity added, they're taxing, they're doing it on the tax too. Like they full blown 100. I was like, that can't be right. And it was just because I wanted to look to see what they took, because I knew the discount was off.
Yeah.
So once I knew the discount was wrong, now I wanted to look to see the other stuff.
Well, I think a lot of people too, and I'm not, obviously this isn't you here, but there's a lot of people who are on vacation and they just think, I'm having fun, I'm on vacation. Like they don't even look. Okay, what ride are we doing next? Like the fact that you looked was good, because
and the fact that I knew with parties of 6 or more they automatically add gratuity, but a lot of people don't.
Was there a spot for a tip?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
The fact that that he was the only person on the entire trip who said that. Wow. The only one. Now, he was the only one who didn't get an additional tip too. And it's not because of him. And I understand that. And there can be people here who work in the service industry or who feel like I did wrong by this guy. Look.
That's a tough one.
He said to me, I'm going to make sure that one of those is comped. He didn't. The manager was, sometimes that happens. Like when I tell you it came out after our entrees, I was halfway through my butter chicken. The food was amazing. I'll try to, post some pictures of the food. Mm-hmm. The food was amazing. The food was great there. I left going, what just happened? I looked at my wife and I was like, that was the introduction to Disney dining for my brother and sister-in-law.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I'm like, that was the introduction.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
so that leads me to my next question. Where did you go next, and did it make up for it?
So next, so that's tough. Timeline. I gotta go. Let me rewind here. So actually, that night we kind of just hung out. We went back to the room. That night we were just kind of like, we're dead. We're dead tired. But we started getting hungry and we're like, what do we want? And I believe that was the night that we ordered the takeout bread service from Sanaa.
That might have been the same night that we did our interview with Tom Bowman.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was. So we got Sanaa bread service. And it's regarded on property as like this amazing thing. Got the African bread service at Sanaa.
With all the different dips
All the different
that you
dips,
get.
and you can ask for the
Sounds
special
amazing.
spicy one or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, takeout bread service, this is going to be interesting. It was so good.
Good.
Like, the six of us were huddled around this bread service eating it, and it was so funny. But, like, we didn't want a big meal because we had eaten a lot of food. We tried to eat our appetizers, too.
Well,
Yak and Yeti.
part of that, too, that I forget sometimes, too, when I go on a Disney trip, is you're walking so much that, like, you're hungry. You got a lot of calories.
So it was always a big competition at the end of the night. Like, the adults, like, how many steps did you get? How many steps did you get? And then the kids, of course, compete with each other. They have shorter legs. Although my son now, his legs are as long as my wife's because he's the same height as her.
Well, and then you guys don't split off very much, so
Right.
your totals have to be pretty similar.
They were. I was in 18,000 plus steps every day. I was at that. And Epcot was like 22,000, 25,000
That's
steps.
big park to
Yeah.
loop around. Yeah.
So, we went back to the lodge, and let's go through dining, and then I'll talk about the resort, if that
Okay,
makes sense.
sure.
Because it's just easier to not be disjointed about stuff. So Sanaa takeout bread service, amazing. Like, I was a little worried because it's takeout, but it was really good. Some other standout situations. We had not gone to Via Napoli for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Just because one year we were with you, the next year, so last year we did, it was food and wine. And we're like, we're not going to get a sit down restaurant. We're going to do food and wine.
I was talking to you when you were there. I don't know if I texted you or something. You're like, we're at Via Napoli. And then I remember I was going to text you, hey, talk to your server and see if they have anything gluten-free. And
So
you know
they
what
do-
came in my head?
What?
I go, I don't want to bug him. He's having a good time.
So-
I stopped.
So
I didn't
the-
want to bother you there.
My understanding is that they can do gluten-free pasta. They cannot do gluten-free pizza. That's my understanding.
It's fine. That's my son's
It
favorite.
is an
is
open
gluten-free pasta.
It is an open kitchen though,
Mhm.
so cross-contamination could be an issue. That's what I would tell you.
If they boil it in separate water, it should be fine. But let's not talk
yeah,
about
I-
gluten-free.
yeah,
Let's
I-
get back
I
to
have
your
no idea.
experience.
So, Via Napoli was very good, as always. Pizza was phenomenal.
They're
My-
huge, you said? They're really
Yeah, they're like literally a half meter. That's what we got was the half meter
Sheesh.
pizza. So it's it's pretty long, 18 inches long it's big.
big.
It's
Your
a big
brother and
pizza.
sister-in-law were impressed by that too?
Yeah, they loved the pizza. It was good.
New Yorkers are picky about their pizza.
Yeah, it's not a New York style pizza. It's a Napolitano or whatever you want to call it. But it's very good. I love that pizza. My daughter got noodles. She just wanted pasta noodles with some butter and got the sauce and the meatball on the side. My brother tried the meatball, said it was phenomenal. He also got a Caesar salad that was about this. Looked like if I just went out and mowed down my garden and put my entire garden into a bowl. But the bowl is like more like a trough. It was the biggest salad I'd ever seen. I was like, what? It came out. He's like, I was like, yeah, good luck with that, bud. I swear there were like 2 chicken breasts on it. I'm like, have fun. So
That's wild.
So it was good.
See, that wouldn't be a bad meal either if we went there.
No, it
You know,
wouldn't.
minus croutons or whatever else. That sounds really good, actually.
Yeah.
Did your brother like it?
Yeah, he liked it.
Great.
He was definitely afterward like, I can't move. Like,
Good. Jeez.
So
If it's filling, that's fantastic.
So pizza, salad stuff. We had good drinks there. I always love Via Napoli, but when it comes down to it, I don't know that you get a better bang for your buck in a park sit down restaurant than Via Napoli. We did Jungle Skipper. Not a ton to report there. They switched the noodle dish again.
Oh, jeez.
It is some other noodle dish that, looked amazing. I didn't taste it, but
I
looked
think
amazing.
it's Thai noodles, and it's some type of
It's
Thai.
not.
No?
No. It's
Was
not
it,
Thai.
though?
It used to be.
Okay.
It's not anymore.
What is it now?
It's a lo mein now.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So
It's a
not
massive.
rice noodle.
It's a massive amount of noodles. Jungle Skipper's always good. So like talking about Jungle Skipper kind of makes not that it doesn't make sense. It's just nothing major, right? Via Napoli, I'm glad to report is back or is the same as it was.
Mm-hmm.
I think I told you this. We went to Boathouse, and we had
Which is at Disney Springs.
correct. And this is so funny. So when a few months back, we went to Boston as a family, and my daughter had said, because I was like, I can't wait to go to Boston. I want some good seafood. Well, all the seafood places that I wanted to go to that were reasonably priced and were not like shirt and tie kind of seafood places,
Right.
only had stuff that like I would eat, my daughter would eat, and some stuff my wife would eat. My son does not do seafood. It's like one of the few things he really doesn't like. And I'm not going to push him to do it. So, long story short, we didn't eat at seafood place in Boston, but I had promised my daughter we would get oysters. So at Boathouse, she's like, "There's oysters here, Dad." And I was like, "Okay,
Okay.
well, let's do this." My brother was like, "Are you sure?" It's like, "Hell yeah, let's do this."
All right.
So I order a dozen oysters. I got 3 each of 4 different types. So and they're very distinct tastes of each one. But the texture is an oyster, right? An oyster is an oyster is an oyster.
I am impressed, even in general, that your daughter is excited about eating something that I don't want to gross people out, but it's not a.
Oh, it's a booger.
Yeah. Okay. You said it. I mean, I am very impressed.
Have you ever had one?
No, I don't want to eat. Like I am
so good.
I'm similar to your son, where I'm not really into seafood. I don't mind the lobster taste.
I watched you eat your weight in shrimp.
But that's my point. That's the one thing that I absolutely love. We
Okay.
had it for dinner last night. I will eat shrimp forever. I think it's great. But like other seafood, it's just I don't know. It's not something that I really like.
Okay.
But shrimp I love. So back to point with your daughter. That's I would just say for a kid her age,
Oh,
being
yeah.
in elementary school,
Yeah.
I would say the number of kids that are adventurous enough to try something like that, it's got to be I know we do percentages on this show all the time.
Yeah, it's
I'd
pretty
say
low.
it's like 7%.
So the oysters come out. She comes sits next to me and my brother, and I release make sure the oyster is well released, so it's just going to slide in.
Yep.
I give her a small one because there were 4 different kinds. There was one that was huge. I think it was called jumbo, but there were these smaller ones, and they're sweeter, not quite as briny oyster. And I give it to her. I'm like, "So this is what you do." And I show her how to eat it.
Yep.
I like squeeze. I'm like, "You like lemon, so I'm going to squeeze the lemon on there for you." I was like, "I don't want to put a whole bunch of hot sauce on it because it'll just cover the
Right.
taste,
Yeah,
and then you
yeah,
might
yeah,
not really know
masks
what
it.
you're doing."
Yeah.
But I will put the lemon. I think that's smart. And I had crackers ready for her to eat, a cracker afterward. So she does the slurp, and she chews like twice. And I was like, "Okay, swallow," because like you don't want to it's not something you want to chew a ton of.
Yeah.
And she kept chewing. I was like, "Uh-oh." And her face got, mm-mm, mm-mm. And I was like, but this is what she did. She swallowed it and goes, "Yeah, that's not for me." And went back to her seat. Didn't complain. Wasn't like that was gross. Just like, "Yep, that's not for me."
Tried it though.
But tried it.
Yeah.
I was so proud of her. So
Yeah.
that was fun. Listeners who've never been to Boathouse is amazing. Really good drinks. Like one of the best old fashions on property. I would put it number 3 if I'm doing a Diz list of old fashions. You don't drink bourbon, so I don't think you would necessarily be able to rank that, obviously. But bourbon old fashioned at Boathouse, it was really good. And I didn't even get like their specialty one. I just said, "Hey, I want an old fashioned." The guy was like, "What do you want it to be with?" I was like, "I don't know, Bullet." He's like, "Okay, you got it, Bullet. We're gonna go do that and come back." And it was great. So Boathouse was amazing.
I know the Orlando locals really like Boathouse a lot too.
Yes,
It's very popular within the Orlando area.
yes, it's a phenomenal restaurant.
Is it a
And
chain?
so
or is it just
chain? No. multiple locations, yes.
Okay.
So I believe there is a boathouse owned by the same people in Chicago, maybe? I could be completely making that up. There's another city that has a boathouse. It is not a chain, though. It just happens to have a location there, too. It's kind of like, I wouldn't call Gideon's a chain, which we did Gideon's, too. I'll get to that. I wouldn't call Gideon's a chain, but there's multiple locations. Or like Polite Pig. Like, it's not a chain, right? You've got Ravenous Pig and you've got Polite Pig. So,
quick aside, do you watch The Bear with your son?
I watch The Bear. I do not watch it with my son.
Okay.
Not because it's just I haven't. It's one of those ones that I watch when it's like, okay, everybody's asleep and it's the show that I enjoy, so I turn it on.
Yeah. Did you watch the newest season? It's fantastic.
I have not gotten through the newest season.
It's fantastic.
So,
yeah.
But it's a great show. Yeah. Especially for a foodie. People.
Well, that's why I wondered if you liked it. Because we are not foodies. Obviously, we struggle to eat food. Period. Yeah. with our food allergies and restrictions. But listeners, if you're not watching that show, I mean, depends on who you're watching. Like there's a ton of language in it.
Yeah.
I think other than that, I mean, like my kids have heard everything.
Yeah.
So my kids watch it with us.
It's not.
My daughter doesn't watch it. But great show.
So Boathouse, we had that morning. We kind of rope dropped Disney Springs in a way, so that way we could get into Gideon's quickly.
What time's Disney Springs open? 8 or 9?
10.
10.
We were there 10:30, and 5-minute wait for Gideon's. I would have told you that I don't understand the hype, and then I bit into this cookie and was like, oh, I get the hype.
Do they have drinks there too? I understand that Gideon's is known for their cookies. What kind of drinks?
Oh my!
Like, is it worth for me to go there just to get like a
cold brew?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd want to go get coffee.
I don't know that I would wait in that long of a line for a cold brew when I couldn't get one of their cookies. But their cold brew was really good. So I got the peanut butter cold brew, which is like everybody raves about. It's really good.
Sounds like a good.
I think
flavor.
my wife got the cookies and cream one, and my brother got a different one too. So we kind of took a sip of each other's, and I think he got a caramel one. And they were all really good. And it's like legit cold brew. It's not iced coffee. It's legit cold brew. It's like brewed over, like, there's a difference, trust me. And it's really good. And the aesthetic in that building, it's very small in there, but the aesthetic is very cool.
My wife saw some of the videos. She goes, "This kind of looks like Hogwarts, or not Hogwarts, but something out of Harry Potter."
Like Gringotts a little bit?
Yeah, correct. I was trying to think of the name of the wand shop.
All the guys look like, or all the characters kind of look like Funko Pops.
They do.
No, they do.
I don't know if I said that to you recently or what.
You did. Yeah. They kind of all look like Funko Pops. I agree with that. My sister-in-law is a huge like Halloween person and kind of like creepy thing person. And so she was just like, loved it.
It's very Tim Burton.
Yeah, it is very Tim Burton. That's a very good way to put it. Yeah. So that was great. I would have told you before that it's not worth it. Not worth the wait. I would probably wait close to a half hour for some of their food.
Okay, great.
Now, I wanted to get a cake. We were like it was early in the morning. I wanted to get some cake and be like, let's try this for dessert tonight. But there was no way walking around Disney Springs all day was going to work. But
it's tough in the summer.
It is. I want to transition to the food we ate at Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Great.
Because Animal Kingdom Lodge is considered to be a foodie's paradise.
It is. And I haven't been to either, but I know that there's quite a bit for our family to have too, which we're looking forward to doing at some point. Let me remember the names of the two restaurants. Is it Boma?
There's three.
Boma, Sanaa, and what?
Jiko.
All right, I've heard of that. So explain.
Boma's a buffet.
Okay.
Boma's a buffet. Jiko is the fancy signature restaurant that's like adjacent to Boma. Sanaa is at Kidani Village, so it's in the DVC building.
Yep.
In the morning, Sanaa is a quick service breakfast place, but it's not quick service. So what I mean by that is, have you ever eaten at the quick service version of Be Our Guest?
No.
Okay.
Wait, yeah. Yes, we have.
Where you order and they bring you the food to you. They bring the food to you.
Yeah, we went in, ordered on like a touch screen,
Okay.
and then they brought us. We had like turkey sandwiches.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to me, it's not quite quick service, not quite table service. It lives in this
Okay.
place in between. That's what Sanaa in
Good
the morning
comparison. Makes sense.
That's what Sanaa in the morning was. Very good breakfast.
Was it African themed or was it more like Americanized?
You could get
scrambled eggs.
You could, yes, you name it. So
Oh,
there was like you could get your Mickey waffles and your scrambled eggs. You could
I
get
feel
something.
like that's universal across
Yeah.
property. If you want to get a Mickey waffle,
You could get oatmeal. That was really. It was actually really good oatmeal. A huge bowl of oatmeal. You could get African inspired stuff that had like. So I got a thing that had a specific kind of sausage that was African spice that was really good.
see, I would do that too.
Um,
I mean, I would if I'm there and there's that option, I would try it.
yeah.
Like that's a good move.
So that's Sanaa in the morning. Sanaa in the evening, and for lunch, is a table service restaurant that specializes in African style cuisine, and they do. So they do have some entrees that are like a la carte, but they also have this thing that's basically you create your own kind of a thing. And what I mean by that is you pick a protein, you pick a grain or a green or a side that goes with it, and it comes out and like you basically there's 3 bowls. You've got a bowl of rice, a bowl of your protein, and a bowl of whatever side you picked, whether it's beans or they've got like collard green types. They're not collard greens, but that's what they are. And then you taste them all and then you mix them up as you see fit. That's what most of us did. My brother got the burger there, said it was great. So the food at Sanaa was phenomenal, and Sanaa's the one with the view of the savannah.
Oh, great.
Boma,
That's the buffet one.
yeah.
Boma buffet. Both are B. That's how I
Yeah.
remember it.
This buffet is probably the best buffet I've ever eaten at.
Yeah, I've heard that too. You're not the first person I've heard say that.
So I was talking, somebody had asked about buffets in a story, and I posted something, and they sent me a message back. Glad to hear that Boma's doing well. This person's I'm not going to use names because they're kind of a big deal creator, and I don't want to I'm not dropping names.
Sure.
Hopefully she comes on to be a guest. But she said that she had a bad experience a couple months ago and was glad to hear that it wasn't off because she was worried that it was not an off thing, that it was a trend. And I'm telling you, like when I say that I had the salmon there and was like, that salmon's better than most salmon you get at a table service
Right,
restaurant.
and you just grabbed it from a buffet, and
Yeah.
you could get 6 if you wanted
Oh,
to.
how would you like this African spice rubbed strip loin, which by the way is New York strip, and they slice you like a inch thick piece of New York strip,
And
basically.
you go back up and get another if you want.
Sure,
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
The soups are what they're like renowned for. Amazing. Like Boma, it's expensive. It's not cheap because all buffets are expensive. But wow, it was really phenomenal. It was really good. We didn't do Jico, mostly because we were doing Boma, and Jico is the signature restaurant. And while we would have enjoyed it, and I know my brother and sister-in-law would have enjoyed it as well, we knew we were doing Boathouse as a signature. We knew we were doing all these, we're doing Boma. We knew we were doing these things. It was like, we don't need to do Jico too. So I do have to go back and try Jico. I think the reason Boma does so well is because it comes out of the same kitchen as Jico. And so
okay.
Jico is Jico is like really top notch, like super, super top notch stuff.
So let me, to wrap this up, with just this part of your Animal Kingdom
Yeah.
restaurants, let me ask you this big picture question, which I think I already know the answer to, but for listeners, they may want to hear this too. So it's going to kind of go back on what we were talking about earlier with Animal Kingdom, with the people coming in and not believing that they can't get into this restaurant. So if you're going to a sit-down restaurant at a park, it is something you have to make a reservation in advance.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure that if you're also going to a sit-down restaurant at a resort like yours, you also have to make a reservation in advance. So my question
Less
is,
so, but yeah.
that's my question. My question is, you show up with your family, you're a DVC member, and you walk into, we'll say Jico, for example, because you didn't eat there. and you walk up to the desk and say, "Hey, we don't have reservations." You could throw DVC at them or not.
They don't care.
What do you think the chances are that you would get into any of those restaurants? The chances are better because you're at the resort.
It's better. It's better than the parks, but it's not guaranteed. It depends, especially Jico. Jico's a hard reservation to get, and like.
But then if they say, "Oh, it's going to be 2 hours," it's a whole lot easier. But here's the thing: it's a whole lot easier to say.
I don't think
okay,
I don't mean like they're going to tell me it's 2 hours. They're going to tell me no.
Not at all.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Now,
see, that's why I asked.
Sanaa,
it's interesting.
Sanaa, I probably could.
Okay.
But Jico, highly doubtful.
So Boma as the buffet is probably the easiest to get into. Do you have to have a reservation for that?
Yes. It's still a people factory though. It's like Ohana.
And they're cranking people in and out so much that it's possible.
Yes. You should definitely have reservations for these places.
Sure. But that's why I'm bringing it up for our listeners.
You do have a shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can find them and you can join a walk up, but it's better at the resorts than it is at the parks.
Mm-hmm.
But for some of these ones, I don't know. Like, I will say this: Disney Springs is probably your best bet for walk up availability.
Great.
Especially like if it's not a very, very busy part of the season, like if it's not Christmas or something like that.
Just curious. Didn't mean to derail, but sometimes I think of these things that I think would apply to listeners and things that it's a weird part of the Disney experience that a lot of times gets glossed over, but that's why I like to highlight these things. It's kind of the point of having a longer form podcast.
There are most definitely places that you could walk up to and wait. Sanaa, I'm sure I could have sat. First of all, you can sit in the lounge if you need to. You can get a lot of the same food. You can get a lot of food at Victoria. We didn't talk about Victoria Falls because I didn't go there, but that's like a little lounge that you can get food at. So kind of like Tambu lounges to Ohana, but not quite because it's not really attached to Jico. So there are options, certainly more so than the parks. You'll notice I didn't mention anything about a quick service restaurant at Animal Kingdom Lodge, not because there's not one, but because there's not one in the DVC building. That's a downfall.
Yeah, I was going to say that's tough, especially if your kids are hungry. And
so, like, it's fine because we had a full kitchen. We had groceries, right? But it is a downfall to not have that. You can go over to the gift shop and they have like little things to eat, grab and go type stuff, but nothing like going to an actual like at Poly, right? You go to Captain Cook's and you
all the time,
right?
We had every single thing on the menu there.
So like there exists that over at the Mara, it's called, over at Animal Kingdom Lodge in the Jambo House, but it's not a short walk, and it's I don't really think I should have to get on a shuttle to go to get quick service.
A shuttle.
Literally, it's a shuttle.
No, I know.
I'm
not saying you're nuts.
We did get like snacky stuff over at the pool bar, so I'm going to transition to the actual resort because I feel like the lack of a quick service right at Kidani is a problem. There's no way around that. I do believe that Animal Kingdom Lodge is not super popular with DVC members because of where it's located.
Because it's very far away from everything else.
I shouldn't say not very popular with DVC members. It's not very popular with DVC members who don't own there because of where it's located. If you own there, you own there. You know that. You went into it knowing that.
Yeah, and you went into it knowing that's the place you wanted.
Everything is far away, and Magic Kingdom is really far away.
Yeah, Magic Kingdom is the furthest thing away from...
So I know we talked about that manager at Yak and Yeti and how that was a bad experience. I still wouldn't call that a truly negative cast experience so much as it's just she was clearly ignorant to like what had really transpired. I had a bus driver, so at 6:37.
Oh gosh, you told me the story.
At 6:37, we sat down, ready to get on the bus. Bus pulls up, 6:37. We're ready to go. Packs everybody in. Now, there's 2 stops, Kidani and Jambo. All the people who don't get off this bus are clearly going to Jambo, and I'm guessing aren't just riding a loop from Magic Kingdom to Jambo and back to Magic Kingdom. They
Right.
so she's yelling.
kinda pointless.
I am not talking about like, hey guys, fill in the space. Like legitimately yelling at people to move to the back of the bus. Get back there. The faster you guys get there, the faster we get to Magic Kingdom. Okay? So I'm like annoyed. We are packed in like sardines. We pull up to Jambo, and the guy I'm like basically sitting on is like, I guess now we got to take everybody out of the bus so that we can get off, huh? And I laughed because that's what we had to do. Literally everybody that she had just packed in at Kidani
Oh my goodness.
had to get off. So all the people on Jambo, and then she starts letting people on again. So now there's a mix of the Kidani people who are already on the bus and the Jambo people who are getting on the bus, all fighting for the same seats. And there's twice as many people at Jambo as there were at Kidani.
Oh man.
6:37 we got on the bus at Kidani. We left Animal Kingdom, like pulled out of that second bus stop after 7 o'clock.
Holy cow.
We got to Magic Kingdom at 7:40.
How hot was it in that bus while you're just sitting there?
Oh, it was hot. And there was most of the people were like, look at this lady's nuts, right? And just at this point, we were just laughing. Like, I looked at this guy next to me and I said, we are literally on the struggle bus. And he just laughed, and we were talking the whole time. He's like, this guy was ex-military and was talking about how he's like, I've been all around the world. He's like, and I've been on some crazy mass transit. He's like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Gosh.
And she was pedal to the floor on that little phone thing. I'm guessing her boss was like, where are you? You have been gone for. It took her 30 minutes to load Kidani and Jambo. And when I tell you it looked like a clown car getting off that bus, there's zero chance that we were under capacity. Zero.
They have to track those buses. I mean, they must have like specific goals. Like you go and get a cup of coffee and there's a countdown going,
Like to the point where I said to my wife, I go, we should have just like taken the bus to Epcot.
Yeah.
And then gotten off and gotten on another bus to or taken the bus to Disney Springs and there's got to be a better way because this is crazy. I tell you, I thought we were going to die because this bus had to be so top heavy and she was flying because her little phone thingy that they have or whatever, like not the walkie-talkie. She's like, yeah, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. And I was like, I looked at the guy next to me. I'm like, what? Have you ever? And of course, most of the people are cool with it. There was one lady on the bus who was like, apparently she was the only one who was missing her reservation, even though there was like 15, 20 people on there missing their reservation. She was in the back of the bus and pushed everybody out of the way to be the first one off. I was like, whatever. We're all going to the same place. But it's okay because Karma caught up to her because her magic band wouldn't scan, and we passed her on our way in because her magic band wouldn't scan. So I thought that was kind of funny.
That is.
Animal Kingdom Lodge is a long way from everything. I would go back if I had a car. I would go back if they expanded the transportation somehow there, like ran double buses or had like a Skyliner or
they could connect,
something like that.
They could. I mean,
Yeah,
the closest park to that is Hollywood Studios. Well, besides Animal Kingdom, they could connect Hollywood Studios to Animal Kingdom Park, which could then connect to Animal Kingdom Lodge. It's possible.
They could easily do it.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the negatives. And I say that I would go back there if those things happened, but I'm going to be honest with you. I might go back there anyway because when you walk in your room, you open the door, and there's a freaking giraffe eating eucalyptus or whatever the hell
right in
it's
front
eating,
of you,
like 10 feet from your balcony.
Right.
When a baby zebra who is so young doesn't have a name is like frolicking in the savannah, and at night gets the zoomies like your puppy does, and just runs in circles, and you watch that. When you wake up to West African crowned cranes, like calling for each other, like I didn't think it was going to be that cool. It was that cool.
That's great.
And everything else about the resort was great. It was, the lobbies were great. Everything was good. I think that was a great place. I do think it's tough to do. It's really tough for you to do a trip there and not expect for a long delay to get anywhere, because you are delayed to get places.
So a car, or let's convince them to extend the Skyliner.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah. Well, next week we're talking about D23 stuff, so maybe we'll talk about that.
I got some ideas. Or I'll call it a wish list.
Yeah. So you have anything else you wanted to know about the trip? As it pertains to, anything, actually.
I mean, my main question was, what you already said was, do you regret being so far away?
I don't regret it.
I mean, there's a lot of pluses and minuses. I think you're like me, where you want to try out everything, and you want to just be able to experience all of it. And I think, despite a few of the negative things, that far and away you really, really enjoyed it. The fact that you said you'd go back, that's a huge
table service. Restaurants, check. Really good table service restaurants. Pool, check. Pool bar, not a minus, but not a plus. Lobby gift shop was good, because there's one actually in the DVC building
with snacks.
Correct.
Well, I mean, it's not quick service.
The one over in Jumbo was a little bit bigger, a little bit better. I would put it number 3 in my DVC resorts right now. I would say Poly is my favorite. I own there.
Yeah.
Number 2, I'd say Beach Club, because of the pool.
Mm-hmm.
But if I take the pool away, then Animal Kingdom wins. So they're like a 2A, 2B kind of a thing. And then Bay Lake Tower is like so far away. Bay Lake Towers.
Well, you tried it.
Yeah. Until they redo the rooms, I'm not going back there, because it was not good. But yeah, it was a fun trip. Food was great. I don't know if I mentioned last week, I did try a new ride service, Quicksilver. And this is not an ad at all. They don't know me from, a hole in the wall. They were good. They did great. They, show up with a sign, says,
has your last name on it? That's cool.
It says Dizless Nick. No, I'm just kidding.
You should have.
Yeah, it picked us up. It was great. We got upgraded to a Suburban. I had asked for a van, because I thought we would need room. The guy called me. He's like, I think you guys will fit in our Suburban. I just want to upgrade you. I was like, okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
Sounds good. So that was good. You could do Uber if you don't like the transportation. We did did Lyft one day.
Mm-hmm.
But transportation, the buses, I will say, ran consistently. It's a long way. Even on a good night, it's a long way to everything. And if you're standing at the end of a long night, trying to hold yourself up, that can be tough.
Yeah. I mean, you could call for a Uber or Lyft from Magic Kingdom, which is
correct.
Still a hike to get over to that area, but
yeah. So I do think I would go back. I don't know that I would recommend it to somebody who is wanting to spend as much time in the parks as we typically do. It was fine for this trip, but because going back and forth is a little hard. But
I think your kids were the right ages too. I mean, it would be fine for teens, and I mean, your son's almost a teen, right?
Yeah.
But I think they're the right ages. I think it's really, in my opinion, I think teens would be like, oh, cool, there's some animals. It depends on the teen.
Because not just some. I mean, trust me, it was more than I thought. I thought, okay, we'll get to see an animal here and there. I do think anybody who has any remote enjoyment of animals at all is going to see that and be like, whoa.
So families with teens, still good.
Yes, I do believe so.
Great.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my trip. That was what we enjoyed. I had a lot of fun. If you want to hear more, we did talk about the Starlight Savannah tour over on Patreon. So if you're a patron over there, you can check that out. Be sure to sign up for free at the very least, so that Rob can post some exclusive content to you. But we thank everybody, and it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. And tomorrow's just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.